Welcome to the 8th Paws Here video diary. It's been a while since we've had a video diary, and while we've been away, lots of things have been happening. We've had lots of really exciting news, like just this morning we had a litter of baby rats born, so in the next few weeks we'll be keeping you updated on how they're doing. We've also had some baby hamsters from one of our female hamsters, Wallaboo, and they are coming along really well. They're coming out of the nest now and wandering around, so if you want to see them, come along and visit. We've had lots of guinea pigs come in to be rehomed, but the good news is that we have rehomed a lot of them. We still have some looking for homes though. We've also had some baby rabbits who have come in and gone away again very, very quickly. It's always easy for us to find homes for baby animals. Some other really good news: Axel and Harriet, two of our rabbits that we've mentioned before, and they've been here for a long time, they found a wonderful new home, so we're very, very pleased about that. Also Winston, who is a bit of a familiar face, he's gone to a lovely home, and we've been hearing lots about how he's been doing, and that's a fantastic feeling to know that he's gone to such a nice place. We've also got some baby gerbils. They are adorable. They've come in for us to find homes for. And we've had a rabbit come in looking for a new home named Flash. Flash is a very friendly bunny, so we have no doubt that we'll find him a new home very easily. We've also had some sad things happening though. We've had some rather sad instances of animals coming in that have been very badly abused and neglected. It's always very traumatic for all of the volunteers here when something like this happens, and Roz is going to speak a little bit about one of the bunnies that's come in lately, Sam, and tell you a little bit about his situation. The good news is that in all of these cases we've been able to help and really been able to improve the quality of life for these animals.
So Rachel mentioned some cases that have happened recently that weren't as happy as others. In fact, the story of Sam, who was brought in here about a month and a half ago, is one of the saddest cases that I've experienced since I've started working here. Sam was brought in one really bright September morning by an elderly gentleman, and at first it wasn't entirely apparent what was wrong with Sam. He seemed really subdued, but it wasn't until I put my hand in his cage and he didn't flinch away or even react at all that I realised something was very wrong. Rabbits are prey animals, so when they perceive something as a threat, they always run away. But you could do anything in Sam's vicinity and he wouldn't react at all. Touching him was an even bigger shock. Sam was quite literally skin and bones. He didn't feel like he had any muscle, any fat, anything. He just had his bones and his skin. Later, I thought that it was like he'd been dead, but he was still alive a little bit. At first, we really weren't sure if Sam was going to make it. He'd been severely malnourished, probably for a very long time, because he's quite a small rabbit, and we think that he was so malnourished that even his growth has been stunted. He was taken by the gentleman who brought him in from his grandchildren, because this guy had constantly been finding Sam without any food or water. So I'm very grateful to this gentleman, because he basically saved Sam's life by taking him away and giving him to us. Sam, at first we really didn't think Sam was going to make it because he was just so weak. But when we started giving him food, he was responding to that and he was eating quite a lot. Often when animals have been treated like this, they just aren't interested in food or just don't take to it at all. But Sam was really happy to eat, especially his favourite things like carrots and fatty rabbit muesli, which we don't usually recommend for rabbits, but for Sam, who needed to put on weight, it was a really good thing for him. And one day a couple of days after he first came in, I came in and opened the door of the shop and slammed it behind me, and Sam looked up at me, so he'd responded to an external stimulus. He'd noticed that I was coming in, and I think that was a huge turning point for him, and I was really happy, because since then, I think, even if it's been a bit of a struggle for him, he's been progressively getting better. He's eating really well now, he's moving around, he's doing normal rabbity things like digging in his cage, hopping around, and when you pick him up he struggles because rabbits don't like being picked up, whereas when you first picked him up he was just go dead in your arms. But now he struggles, he has a personality, he knows what he wants, and just lately he's found a new friend, which is absolutely wonderful. Rabbits are really social animals, so they always need company, and Sam had been deprived of company for basically all his life, and so he always really wanted to make friends with the other rabbits, but we weren't sure about doing it until this little baby black rabbit came in, and it just went bounding up to Sam, and they were just they've just been best friends ever since, and it's really lovely to see them grooming each other and curling up together and just doing normal rabbity things. So we're really happy, and I'm really glad that Sam has come here and he's been able to recover from a truly traumatic experience, and he's living a much better life. Okay, well, we've heard a lot of interviews from Rachel, the owner of this place, throughout the course of these video diaries. She's kind of the brains behind the whole operation, but she hasn't actually been asked any questions herself, so I'm one of the volunteers who's here almost every day, so I decided it would be a good idea to interview Rachel. So for your first question, Rachel, I'd like to know, how did you get interested in working with animals?
Well, I've always been really interested in animals and looking after animals. I grew up in a farming community, so almost everybody there worked with animals, and that was kind of what we did. My first job was on a turkey farm, actually. And when I went to university, I found that I really missed having pets. So I got 2 hamsters, and that's how I started to get really into animals.
Uh-huh. So what led to you opening up an animal shelter?
It happened very slowly, actually. It sort of happened by itself. It happened in kind of dribs and drabs. I started out breeding and showing hamsters, and I was on the National Hamster Council and a few things like that. And I used to go to shows all the time. And part of the things, part of being involved in stuff like that is you get a reputation as being somebody who knows about animals and who can look after your pet animals. And gradually, through that, and through writing, through editing the South England Hamster Club journal, I just had lots of people contact me to take on their hamsters and rehome them, so I started rehoming hamsters.
Uh-huh.
But then we would have shows, animal shows, hamster shows. They would always be at the same places as the rabbit shows or the guinea pig shows and so on, or the rat shows. And gradually I had people from the different fancies approach me and saying, "Oh, we've heard that you can rehome animals. Can you take on this pair of guinea pig? Can you take on this difficult rabbit and find a new home for it?"
Yeah.
And at that stage it was just in out of my home. But gradually the ground floor of our home, it was sort of a 2-story home,
Mm-hmm.
we converted that into essentially an animal shelter, and we moved into the upstairs like a flat,
Uh-huh.
my husband and I, and we then rehomed all sorts of different animals. We had the idea that we would like to open a place like this where we could sell pet products, and that would fund the rescue side, and that's how this place came about. We got a grant from the Prince's Trust and we moved up here.
Sure. Well, it's a really interesting story. It's really good to hear how this place started.
Yeah.
So can you tell me some of the best and worst things about working here?
Sure, that's a really good question. Obviously, it's very rewarding in terms of finding homes for the animals. It's a good feeling. It's some of the worst parts are dealing with people who are very ignorant and dealing with cases where the animals have been harmed. I know you've been talking in this video diary about Sam. Sometimes things like that happen, and it's so upsetting, especially when you care so much about animals, that it's so tempting to just give it up. And sometimes people can be very obnoxious, and I think that there's a lot of strong feelings involved with animals, and sometimes it's tempting to give it all up. But the good, it's not so much that the good outweighs the bad, it's that the good is so important that no matter what the bad is, you have to stick at it. Because when I look at some of the animals that we've helped, and I think, where would they go without us? Their animals are just entirely dependent on us. They can't survive in any way without us. And so seeing them thrive and being able to help them when they've been let down so many times, seeing them trust people when they've been let down themselves, that's definitely makes it worthwhile. And the wonderful people that we meet here as well, they make it the wonderful job that it is.
Sure. Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Rachel.
You're welcome. So that's it for our video diary this week. We hope that everyone's going to remember to keep their pets nice and warm as the weather gets colder, keep them nice and safe, and have a good time. We'll see you next week.